I write about poverty where people who are poor don't have cars, okay? But 10 years later, people who are poor can afford cars in India. How will I be relevant? I won't be, right? So the thing is, when an artist stops being relevant is when there is a change in society.
Yo, Holmes, welcome to the first episode of my podcast. I'm calling this podcast Exploring Beyond the Superficial with Zand with Access, which is me. What I plan to do is discuss common topics and discuss the philosophy and the workings that happen behind the scene, behind what meets the eye. We'll be having one guest every episode, and for the first episode, the guest is a friend of mine, Aditya Mohan, and which is fun because we are both Adityas. Um, Hopefully, you will like the episode. Let's continue. So, basically, what I want to do is talk about something, and in your case, as we decided, we will be talking about nostalgia, more like the toxic form of nostalgia,
Yeah.
which is an important, like, I understand the topic, it makes a lot of sense, and I see it around a lot in the society. So it does make sense. And I don't know how to start the topic actually. That's the thing. So I was like hoping if you start with your experience, then we can continue from there.
My
And
experience for what? That's
see,
the question. My experience as what?
okay. See, before we start, it will be cool like if you go start with a like short introduction of three things
Okay.
seems to be right, like who you are. Of course I know like you are Aditya Mohan, but you know, for the audience sake, like who you are.
So, uh, my name is Aditya Mohan, and like people have started associating me with the name Mohanwa in the past 3-4 years, and I study masters in cinematography from MIT Pune, and right now, since a year, I have been trying to work on a documentary called Atita Arti, uh, which
Okay.
talks. Yeah, say.
No, yeah, I think you complete this part and then I'll ask you about what just came
So
on.
okay. So I'm trying to, since a year, I've been trying to make a documentary on the Darjeeling Hills, like on issues surrounding uh, the Darjeeling Hills, like the decline in education in the hills, and also about how people out there face an identity issue, or they have uh, they feel like they don't belong, like they don't feel like they don't belong, they are made to feel like they don't belong, okay? So yeah, like the documentary is different thing, but today we were going to talk about identity and toxic nostalgia. Like the theme of the documentary is toxic nostalgia, and it somehow dives into the issues of race, like racial profiling.
Huh. So,
Okay, so
you said the name Atitharthi. So, you came up with the name beforehand. Sometimes that happens. Like I generally, when I'm working on something, I generally come with the title quite in the beginning part of the process instead of later than that. So,
no.
or like you keep changing it because that also happens. I just want to
I
know
did.
how that name came into being.
See, when I was doing research, I used to call it Gorkhaland research. Okay. Uh, then we made it and all. Like I wrote the script, everything was done. After we shot, I was confused between two names, like Bismriti or Atitarthi. Okay. Bismriti also means the same thing, nostalgia. But Atitarthi was better for me because Atitarthi is actually a Nepali term and a Bengali term also. Bismriti is also a
Acha.
Nepali term.
That's why I got
Atit,
a little confused. Like Atithati is, I mean, I know it as a Bengali term. So,
yeah, it is a Bengali and Nepali term. It's the thing is, See, when I did it, I did not know what to call it. Okay, like even after we shot it, we did not know what to call it. But after that, I think I started calling it Atitarthi because it fits the description pretty well. No, it's like uh, you are what is it called? You are glorifying your past. That is why it's called Atitarthi, right? Like,
Okay, I don't know exactly. I don't exactly know the meaning of the term, to be honest. I
see,
have heard the term before.
Atit means past. Okay, Atit is
Okay,
past.
okay, okay. I was like shortening it to Atithi, you know.
No, no. Atit is past. Arti
Ah,
is Arti. So that is why Atit Arti, like
okay, 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 okay.
in the past, like that.
Ah,
Atit ka Arti, like that. Yeah. Yeah. Then what? I came up with the name way later, bro. Like it took me a lot of time to think about it also because it is something. Because see, it's a name. Like Atit Arti is a name which it's very different. Like even I did not know this word before I did my research. Okay,
okay.
like I don't even know what I was gonna call it. There were so many things I was gonna call it. Like I wrote a lot of titles, but then at the end, Atitarthi stuck. Like it sounds good. It goes with the theme of the story. So
Ha ha ha. You mentioned another term, something with B. Biswathi.
Vispriti.
Bispriti. It means the same.
It
This is a
almost
term
like
I don't know about. Like I didn't even hear.
Vispriti is a Nepali term, bro.
Acha, it's not into Bengali.
Yeah, it's not a. It is a Bengali term also. It's a Hindi term. Vismriti means oblivion, the state of being forgotten.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So Aditarthi stuck. Vismriti was also a good choice, but then I don't know why I went with Aditarthi. So yeah,
It does sound good. It does sound good.
that's what it sounds like. Like it, it, it sounds very different. A lot of people still don't understand Aditarthi when I tell. But when they think about it, no, when they break the word down, Aditarthi, that is when
Ha
they're.
ha 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 ha.
So you say it at once, you don't understand what it
Ha
is.
ha ha. Because it sounds a lot like Atithi. It sounds a lot similar to Atithi. So I think that comes to the
Yeah.
mind on hearing it first time. That's what came to my mind.
But Atit Arti is like, the like I wanted to call it Atit Arti Nostalgia of the Hills, but then I ended up calling it just Atit Arti. It's like that. Because I'll tell you something, bro. Like, we were talking about how uh, what is it called? Like toxic nostalgia. I'll give you an example of toxic nostalgia. Okay. So when was Rabindranath Tagore? What year was Rabindranath Tagore? During independence?
Ha, ha.
Okay. So around
Wait,
47.
when did he die? I don't remember when he died. He died after independence, right? I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I think so.
I don't remember it as well. Just, okay, you are checking it as well.
Yeah, I'm checking with this. No, bro, he died before. He died 3 years before.
Okay, okay.
Independence. 3 years, I'm saying. Sorry, 6 years before independence he died.
7th August 1941. Yep. Sad.
Yeah. So this is way back in the time, no? This Ravindranath Tagore. Okay. Even when you go for Satyajit Ray, okay, like if you search Satyajit Ray, he died in 59. Okay, what year are we in now? We are in 22, 21.
Huh.
Okay, and people still talk about Rabindranath Tagore, Satyajit Ray like they're relevant. Okay, how
Hmm.
many years? It's been more than 100. It's
Not
been more
100, but
than
more than 50. I think
50 years.
more than 8.
Yeah.
No, not 80. It's somewhere
Not
around
80.
80. We can average
Yeah,
it out in 80, I guess.
80. Yeah. Not even 80. Let's take 60, 50. Okay, let's take 50 only because Satyajit Ray died in 60. So let's take 50 only. Okay,
Huh,
50,
huh, huh,
60. That
huh.
it's been 60 years. It's been more than 70 years since independence. Okay, and
Uh,
Rabindranath Tagore died before that. So what I'm trying to say is, Bengal has this nostalgia, bro. Like Bengal, we worship these people so much that we forget that they are still relevant because what they saw no hasn't improved till now. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? If I think I write about poverty today, okay, and 100 years later I'm still relevant, which means poverty still exists. Are you getting it?
Huh. Actually,
Like,
poverty is something I don't think it's that practically possible to completely eradicate it. You
you
know what I
cannot
mean.
eradicate, bro, but the thing is, see, there is a standard of living everywhere, okay? When we talk about a place like Detroit in America, that is a very poor place, okay? But
Huh.
at least everyone who lives in Detroit has a car. Are you
Huh.
getting it?
Huh. Huh.
Even if it
Plus,
doesn't
things
run well.
have improved in Detroit. I mean, if you compare it to its state at
Right.
some later earlier years.
So it's improved. But what I'm trying to say is, see, Detroit, you will call them poor people, okay? They don't have much money. They
Hmm.
have a difficult time paying rent, meeting day-to-day needs. But they still have a certain kind of standard they live with.
Hmm.
Out here, if you go to rural areas, okay, like if you go to rural areas, you'll find so many people who are living worse than that, despite, you know, holding some kind of a place in society, they are living poorer than that. Like one of my friends, I was seeing his WhatsApp story today. Okay, I'll tell you the name of the village also. I forgot the name of the. I'll just look at. I'll just check his story and tell you the name of the village. See, there is a place called Hingalganj. Okay,
Can spell it out?
Hingalgang.
Okay.
Okay, it's in Bengal only. Okay, and it is heavily scheduled caste. Like people who stay there are
Sure.
heavily belong to the scheduled caste. They are like scheduled caste people. Okay, so what happens there is BJP, TMC, and all they don't come to the village only. You're getting it? This cyclone happened, no cyclone
Ha.
Yas.
Ha. Ha. Ha.
Because of that, the village was destroyed completely. No one came for their aid.
It's in North Chobis Pargana, right? I mean, it's not that close to the coast. I'm talking in perspective of years.
Just look
Uh,
at this. I don't know if you can see. I hope you can.
Actually, it will be better if you tell me what to search because
No, it's his.
visuals won't be part of it at the end of
It's his
it.
account. No.
Acha, his account. Okay.
So
Huh.
see, this is the
Uh,
place, okay? People don't even go there. So what I'm trying to say is there are a lot of people who are very poor
huh.
in India. In India, the poverty line is too much. But what I was trying to say is today, if I write about poverty and 100 years later, if still the definition of poverty is the same, if like in Detroit, the definition of poverty was you have a car, still you can be poor. In India, if you are poor, you cannot have a car. In North Korea, if you are rich, okay, you have to be a VIP or a member of the government there to have a car. That is why North Korea has very few cars on the street
Okay.
because people can't afford it only.
No, North Korea is a very bad example of as a standard of living. I mean, no, not in this perspective. I
Uh,
mean, in the point, it's a valid comparison. I'm just saying as a general standard of living example. But I didn't know about the government, like about the
yeah, you
thing you
cannot
needed to be part of the government to have a
to have
car.
you have to be a very high delegate to be. That's why not so much cars there on the
Hmm.
street. So like many places are like that, like so the definition of poverty in Detroit is different than the definition of poverty in North Korea. The definition of poverty in North Korea is different than the definition of poverty in Bengal. So what I was trying to say is when Satyajit Ray and when what is this guy's name, Rabindranath
Rabindranath
Tagore
Tagore.
or Ritik Ghatar, everyone they talk about poverty and the state of the people in Bengal back in the day. Okay, the thing is, media is very biased, bro. Okay,
Huh.
so back in the day, these people were talking about these things. That is why it was being showcased in the media. Today's story writers and all, they don't talk about these things because, you know, like me, I haven't been. me and you, we don't come from poor families, okay? So we
Huh.
don't know what it's like to be poor.
Huh.
So when we write, we'll not write about poor, we'll write about middle class family, because that is our experience, okay? Now, if you sideline someone who does not have resources so much that they cannot even tell their story, that is what happened with Bollywood at a time, bro. There were so many great stories, but the one running crazy were the ones written by Karan Johar, or those movies like Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum. You know why it works? You know, like why people watch it? Because think it's like a dream, okay? I have never
Ha
seen a
ha 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 ha.
fancy kind of life. Even if I'm middle class or even if I'm poor, I haven't seen.
It's also
So
quite
I,
similar to why Disney works so well.
yeah,
If you
no,
because I
no,
mean
Disney's
the animation
different.
studio is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I'll tell you. Do
now
you know the
Disney,
story of Disney? Like what happened with Disney?
no,
The thing
by
is,
actually by Disney, I have to subcategorize it a bit. When I say the kind of Disney movies I'm talking about is the not the one is the one after the generation of Walt Disney. I mean the guy Walt Disney after his era and uh, before they teamed up or more like purchased and bought in other animation studios. They were pretty much making the same story in different styles, but
what?
it still worked because of that fantasy element. The princess stories, the prince stories, the king stories, it's were
No,
a
but
bit similar.
I
I mean, now I can notice, not back then, of course, I was a kid.
so my like I read it or I saw a video about this somewhere. I don't remember. What happened is, Walt Disney's first cartoon was something else. Okay, it wasn't Mickey Mouse. It was something else. I forgot the name of the cartoon. So he and some guy, they made it together. Okay, like they worked together to make it. Now what happened was, after it was made, Walt didn't get any credit. Okay,
Acha.
so he swore that day that he will take everything, like everything. Okay. Then what they started doing was, so like Pinocchio story, they say like Pinocchio's nose becomes
Ha ha
bigger.
ha ha ha.
Okay. In the real story, I think Pinocchio gets guillotined also because he's such a nuisance. So what did Disney did was, it took stories, like Disney is the best example of erasing a whole culture. I'll explain you how.
Hmm.
What Disney did is,
Ha ha ha. I know that, but please still continue.
it took a lot of stories. Okay, it took stories like Cinderella and all that. Okay, and it transformed the stories. Like you told, no magical fantasy element of Walt.
Ha.
It didn't
No,
come
actually, I'm not talking about Walt. I'm mostly talking about the era after
after
Walt.
Walt. Yeah, yeah. So what they did is, that's what I'm saying. Like the element that Walt created, that fantasy element. Okay, why does it work out? Is because of one simple thing. Back in the day, traditional stories were made to scare children. Okay, so that they don't do anything bad.
Ha ha
Okay.
ha. A lot of folklore is that just
Yeah,
making people disciplined in
yeah,
a
that's what.
more understandable, not understandable, in a more in a way
Like,
that they will accept.
see, like it's not in a way they will accept. It's fear. Okay, you are scaring someone
Ha,
into
but if
submission.
I scared you, suppose you are a kid and I just scared, I'll beat you if you do this. You will be scared, but not in a way that you will stop doing it. You will just try to do it in a way that you don't get caught. But this is a
Like,
kind of fear that it works in a different kind of way. I'm not explaining it
no,
well,
but
but
think you are hearing a story since you're a kid. Okay, that story is that if you lie, if you are mischievous, your nose will keep growing, and people will know you are lying, and then one day you might get killed for it. But what Walt did was, that same story he took, not Walt, let's call it Disney as a product, as a team. They took the same story, and what they did is, they made Pinocchio a boy, okay, who lies and his nose grows, and he's
Acha,
a doll.
Pinocchio wasn't a boy in the original story. I mean, I don't know. I'm just curious.
Yeah, he
Now I'm
was a doll.
curious.
He was a doll, bro. The whole story is Pinocchio was a doll, okay.
No, no, no.
So
Acha, doll. Ha, that I know. But I didn't watch the Disney version. I just know the story somewhat in fractions.
even I'm just telling you what the real story was that Pinocchio is so mischievous that he gets killed, okay. because he does a lot of mischiefs.
Okay.
What Disney did was they took the character, they made the whole thing like that. But what they did was they changed everything. They made it something like this. Pinocchio is a toy, okay? He lies, his nose grows, he gets into trouble, but then he does one thing which is good. One thing which is good, and all his previous mistakes are forgotten. Are you getting it?
Ha.
This is what happens in Disney movie. If you are bad, okay, if you are bad, if you have done one mistake, okay, if you have done many mistakes, no problem. Just one good act can save you from everything, which is not true.
Of
I
course.
cannot be
This
a good
is
person.
and this is not something that Disney does only with the folklore. They do it in
It does with
all
everything.
of their
Yes.
movies, in every single movie,
So that's
even
what
the
I'm saying.
MCU.
It's whitewashing a whole genre. But this is different. Okay, this is like we went different. What I
I
was
know.
trying to say is poverty. So what happened is everywhere the definition of poverty is different right now. Like somewhere people have, like, not everywhere BPL is the same, below poverty line is the same, right? So what happens is, if even after 10 years the definition of poverty is the same in India, then I'll be relevant. And if I write about poverty today, and if the state is the same 10 years from now, I will be relevant. Think I write about poverty where people who are poor don't have cars, okay, but 10 years later people who are poor can afford cars in India. How will I be relevant? I won't be, right? So the thing is, when an artist stops being relevant is when there is a change in society, okay? But
Ha.
that's what I was saying. Think about Tagore, Satyajit Ray. Why are they still relevant?
But there's one thing about Tagore and Satyajit Ray, that they don't just talk about poverty. They also talk about other stuff that will never
Yeah.
get out of the normal.
No, no, bro. It should get out, but the thing is, we are holding on to it. That is what toxic nostalgia is. Like, think back in the day, if someone told what you said, okay, that about Sati, that it is bad, but it is in our blood and we'll never get out of it, it would have been wrong, right? Like,
Ha.
if I went and I told, yeah, so Sati went out, okay, a lot of things should go out like that. They wrote about human. Satyajit Ray and Tagore, they wrote about
No,
female emotions.
no,
Okay?
no, no. You got it a little wrong. What I mean is, for example, I'm talking. Let's say I'm talking about Rabindranath specifically. I'm sure Satyajit falls in under the same category. I just know more about Rabindranath's works than Satyajit's overall work. So,
Okay.
Rabindranath Tagore in general does not only talk about the superficial problem. The superficial problem get over should be gotten over. For example, as Sati, as you said, Sati should have been gotten over with, and it did get over with, fortunately.
Huh.
But Rabindranath Tagore writes about Sati. He doesn't just write about Sati. He writes about the underlying problem that leads to Sati, and that underlying problem is always stays. Even if, for example, Sati started as a glorification of a critical situation that got normalized. I'm simplifying the situation, removing specifics. That's how
Yeah.
most things work. Like Sati started with as a glorification of some warrior class who sacrificed, and the sacrifice got glorified because of that particular critical situation, and it then got glorified to the extent that it got normalized, and then instead of people choosing it, it turned into people being forced to do it. That's how Sati becomes widespread, and that's how it becomes such of a problem.
I don't think it was people are forced to do it per se, but I'm getting what you're trying to say. See, the thing is, what I was saying is, Tagore also wrote about females, okay, a lot.
Ha ha ha.
He wrote about women
Completely.
emotions. Every time he wrote about women emotions, okay. But till now, that women, whatever he wrote about women, okay, you can say they have rights and all now, but the emotions that he tapped into were so real that it's still relevant today because
Ha
of the
ha.
condition of the women.
See,
Okay.
that's what I'm talking about. He tapped into the underlying parts, the emotions, something that
Yeah.
that's not a era thing. That's a universal human thing. So
Hmm.
that's why at least I can say this about Tagore. I'm sure others, there are many more who falls under this category. Satyajit Ray, I'm sure he falls under this category.
Yeah,
Based
he
on
was.
some of the films I've watched of him. So that's why I don't think they will ever stop being relevant. But the thing about
But bro,
poverty is a different thing. As you said, like the definition of
no,
poverty should
see,
change.
the thing is, when you are doing female about when you are writing about emotions and all, you are relevant. Okay, but that emotion also comes from a place of like think I'm angry, that is coming from an experience I had, okay, or think
Huh.
I'm sad, that is coming from an experience I had. So the thing is, I'm tapping into the emotion is good enough, but the thing is, the reason why a woman is treated like that, okay, that should change. No, if like I'll tell you something. I have one book here itself, Ravindranath Tagore. Okay, I'll just tell you, what he writes and how it's why it's still relevant. Okay, see, he writes something like, worst form of bondage is the bondage of dejection, which keeps men hopelessly chained in loss of faith in themselves. Okay. So he's talking about self-deprecation, right? Which will be relevant anywhere.
Huh.
Because when you grow up, there are points in your life when you think, am I worth it? Am I worth it? No. That is a normal human emotion. You can't get over it. You can't get over this. But how I'm treating a woman, I can get over that. No. What I'm trying to say is, if if a guy if a guy comes home drunk and beats his wife, he can change that behavior.
Huh.
Okay. So if today I'm writing about a guy who comes home and beats his wife, 10 years later, the same guy allows his wife to do a job and but still comes home and beats her after getting drunk. Okay, he changed his way. He let the woman in the house work, but he still didn't change completely. That's why I will be relevant. See, the thing is, Subhash Chandra Bose and all, okay. Subhash Chandra Bose, he did a lot for India and whatever, like still we talk about Rabindranath Tagore more than Chandra Bose is because Tagore was a literary. He wrote stuff, okay. And
Huh. Huh.
in
Plus,
order to be
Subhash Chandra Bose's life is a bit of a mystery, which makes sense because he was secretive. He had to be secretive to uh, stay out of the grips of the, British
but
Empire. But
what I'm trying to say is, see, even take Bhagat Singh for example, okay. So Tagore came at a time when India was going through freedom struggle and he wrote. He was a literary. He was not ex- exactly a freedom fighter. Okay, he was a like I don't know. I still call Tagore a freedom fighter, but I feel like he's not a freedom fighter. He was more of a literary. Like you know how that guy who wrote the Art of he wrote about Art of War. Okay, he was a general, but now Art of War is not just considered Art of War. It is used in like people use it as what is it called, like in their regular lives to battle maybe an emotion or maybe a feeling, okay. So he surpasses being a general of China. He becomes bigger than that. He becomes a literary. In the same way, Rabindranath Tagore was a literary more than a freedom fighter. That is why he's relevant. Are you getting it? We are talking about Rabindranath Tagore and not because even Bhagat Singh wrote a book on atheism. You know that Bhagat Singh
he
was
wrote
an
a book on
atheist.
atheism. No, I know he was an atheist, but I didn't know he wrote a book on
Atheism.
atheism. This I
Yes,
have to check. Damn.
atheism. Bhagat Singh. See, there is a book. What name?
No. Huh, why I'm an atheist? Damn. I have to read this.
Yeah.
1931. Oh boy, I didn't know
So
that.
I'm telling. So why is Tagore? Why do you know Tagore wrote stuff and not Bhagat Singh? Is because Tagore wrote a lot of stuff. He was a literary. He fought through his writings. Bhagat Singh did not fight through his writing. He
Huh.
fought through his physical, like his body. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is, even this book is relevant. Why I'm not an atheist till now. Okay. But we still talk about Tagore, and the thing is, we have to get out of that, bro. That is what toxic nostalgia is. Like, uh, you worship them good enough, but then they are still relevant is the issue. We should be able to say, like, when they were alive this happened, not like it's still happening and I'm reading in the book and I'm like, oh, this still happens. Are you getting it? Like,
Ha ha ha
well,
ha.
if I'm telling you the story, I should be able to tell you like it used to happen when he was alive. Instead, I'm opening a book and telling you it still happens. That is wrong, no? That is what is toxic nostalgia is. I am so involved in that feeling that I'm so involved in the past was better, the past was better, okay, that I have not been able to get out of it and change
Yeah,
the
that's what I was going to add at some point, that the past was better, the golden days. That's a very problematic emotion,
yeah, that's the thing.
and
See,
it's
the thing
not
is,
even true.
that's the thing, no, bro. Like, you can glorify Tagore as much as you want. Okay, he was a great, like, to understand human emotions with that to female. He was a guy who wrote about female emotions, and that too he nailed it. Okay, that is very commendable. That too living in a society which was patriarchal. It still is patriarchal, but it was way more patriarchal
Ha
back in
ha
the day.
ha.
So he we have come a long way since what he wrote, okay, but he also envisioned things. He thought what this world will be like. Satyajit Ray, when he made movies, he thought what the world will be like,
Yes,
because they,
this actually was something I was mentioning earlier. Like Ramjanath, Satyajit, these people didn't just uh, discuss a problem. They also
yeah,
gave some proposed solutions that can be used to solve the problem. Although
but
they
that's
weren't used much, but they are
much
a
that
practical
why
possibility.
weren't they used much,
Yeah, I know. I know,
nostalgia.
man. I
That
so
is what I'm trying to explain.
I know.
Toxic nostalgia, people didn't use whatever they wanted to convey, because think of it, no, it's such a beautiful concept, no, like uh, Tagore Tagore writing about nationalism. Okay, Tagore writing this book Nationalism back in the day, and it's still relevant till now. Why? Because we are fighting fascism right now.
And
Getting it?
there's also a very broad difference between nationalism and patriotism. People
Yeah,
often confuse them as the same, and that's not true. You can
yeah.
be one without being the other.
See, that's the thing, no, bro. Now, what? See, so even right here, it's written like this. Okay, a Bengali polymath who reshaped Bengali literature, music, and Indian art with contextual modernism in the late 19th and 20th century. That is the description of Tagore. Okay. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is, if you keep worship, the thing is, think of this in a very simple way. I made something today. Okay. I made a video today, or I made a movie today. 10 years down the line, I'm still talking about the movie and I haven't made anything yet. That is toxic nostalgia. I'm just
Uh,
talking about one movie I made 10 years ago, and I'm not. So what what is happening with Tagore is, Tagore isn't toxic nostalgia. People worshipping Tagore, like, you can worship also, I don't mind, but you know you're worshipping someone and you're not following half the advice they gave you. That is stupid.
yeah.
That is stupid. Like, see, Bengal has always been, what is it called? The pioneers when it since the start, Bengal. No wonder Britishers kept Bengal as the capital of India. Okay,
There's one more
because
reason though. I mean, Bengal was a port city, so that's why it
Bombay was
made.
a port city.
Hmm?
Bombay
But
was a port city.
Britishers came through Bengal, right? I mean, they started in Bengal, so it
But
it made
that's what
sense.
I'm saying. Like, Bengal was the capital. Okay, at once upon a time.
Hmm.
Even I read this somewhere, man. I forgot. It was a very nice thing. Like, someone told, when what was the thing? Which book was I reading? Man, fuck. Okay, I forgot. But it was something like, when Britishers came to India. Okay, Bengal was the only place which was which had free thinkers kind of a thing. Okay, bro, I keep forgetting whatever I read, bro. Like, yeah, see, even in Bengal, till well after the arrival of the British, there was no such thing as a Bengali. Okay,
Okay.
like getting he was merely a native of the Diwanship of Bengal.
Uh, no, is this describing Bengal or is this describing Rabindranath Tagore?
It's describing a Bengali.
Acha,
So
one particular Bengali.
i- if Britishers like if you were alive when Britishers had come,
Hmm.
Britishers wouldn't call you Bengalis.
Acha, okay.
They would call you the native of the Diwanship of Bengal. You are just a native from the Diwanship of Bengal. You are not a Bengali.
Ha ha ha.
Bengali was the word. Okay.
Ha ha ha. Now I got it. Ha.
And that native of Diwanship of Bengal later became the province of Bengal. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
And I think
So
it
the
was the province of Bengal from where the term Bengali came
Bengali, yeah.
as an
So
identity.
he writes about it very nicely. He writes like the Bengali army, of which there are many references in the British Indian history, which army was extensively deployed in all of military campaigns leading to the ultimate British conquest of the whole of India, makes no mention whatsoever of any Bengali soldier. Virtually all of the soldiers of the Bengal army were recruited from the Hindu upper caste Rajputs of Awadh, but there were no local recruits from Bengal. They were all just native troops or sepoys. Do you get it? Like, that's the thing, bro. If, like, the thing is, the history, there's so much history here, no? That you will understand why is India still stuck in that toxic nostalgia. For example, say Lal Bal Pal or any of the freedom fighter be like, before the Britishers came, India was good. If they would have just thought that and kept it, my God, nothing. It would. I don't know if it would still be the same because the biggest reason the Britishers left India was they didn't have any money left
Ha,
to
I
do.
know. Actually, the World War contributed a lot to Indian freedom struggle indirectly. Like the British Empire and the Allied forces were losing money tremendous. All the sides were losing money actually, so it became difficult to control their colonial areas, their colonies. Yeah, that's the
But
thing.
that's what it is. That's what toxic nostalgia is. We're just sitting and thinking about a time which was good, okay? And Bengal has this toxic nostalgia. I'll tell you why. Uh, you know, I brought one friend to Kuch Bihar, okay? You know what he told me? He told me it feels like I have come 20 years in the past.
And he is, I mean,
He's
where
from
he's from?
he's
He's from
from
Bengal.
Bangalore.
Okay, he's from Bengal.
Bangalore.
Ha ha ha.
Okay, so he was like, I've come 20 years in the past. Okay, so I understand where he's coming from because Bengal still is very underdeveloped. Okay, considered to other parts of like Kuch Bihar is still, I feel it's still underdeveloped. Kuch Bihar.
It's totally underdeveloped. In fact, one of the things I like about Kuchbehar is a reason, not a reason, is a result of it being underdeveloped. I like that it's pretty quiet and chill there, but it's pretty quiet and chill there because it's not developed enough to be a little more
Yeah,
chaotic.
but that's what I'm saying. See, Siliguri got a lot of development, okay,
Ha
but
ha.
this development should have come 10 years down the line when everything else outside of Bengal was getting developed. So Bengalis had to go out, take cues from there, and come back and implement it here. Why is it not being implemented throughout India at the same time? So there are some political problems also because of which it happens. Like I'm not gonna deny, most of like a lot of companies when they came to India they wanted to settle in Bengal, but because of that extortion culture in Bengal, they didn't stay. Like J&K Tires, they had a huge manufacturing unit in Calcutta. Okay, now I don't know exactly in Calcutta, but in Bengal, but there was a lot of extortion and all, so they moved their entire factory away from India.
Okay.
Like people don't know these things, but that is what, bro. Like if if you wanna talk about
Yeah,
nostalgia,
I
if you
know about. I know that I don't know the details either, but I also know a few incidents. Like one of, for example, Bengal completely missed out the IT boom that started in India because the then
IT,
ruling party decided that computers is a bad thing as it might take away jobs.
it might take away not jobs. It was mostly about it might mess up with the Bengali culture. That
No,
culture thing had become too much that
I
time.
don't know. That might be also the case, but what the version I heard, like as I said, I didn't exactly research on this. I just know from surroundings, just being there and all. But it's more like they rejected the complete IT boom as it also happened on other parts of the many other parts of the world, maybe in other parts of India as well. Like people initially feared computers as they will take away jobs of regular people, as it will be harder to compete with the machines, and rejected them, and then of course losed out on the development. Bengal
No,
is
but
not the only place, but Bengal is one of the places.
one of the thing is, bro, people don't know the history of. So even I don't know the history of entire India. Okay, like I the thing is, I know Bengal because I am from here. Like I've been reading on it since a very long time. If you ask me about the South, I will be very clueless. Okay, I have no idea about the South. I just know like a little bit about Kerala. That's it. A little bit about Tamil Nadu because my friend told me about Tamil Nadu. Their politics is also and Karnataka. I know these three things. Okay, but that's the thing. You have to know the history in order to break out of that nostalgia. Because the thing
No,
is, see,
I
if
don't think you need to know the history to break out of the nostalgia. I mean, knowing the history, the thing about nostalgia is it comes from knowing the history, but not in details. So, if you
that's
don't
what
know the history, you
the
might not
entire
even.
history. If you know the entire history, why will you be nostalgic? Like I'm saying, no, bro. Like when I read, okay, about these things, about what happened and all that, about like, for example, with Darjeeling only. Okay, Darjeeling is a fairly is a very new topic when it comes to when you look at India. Okay, like how old India is. Darjeeling is a fairly new topic because the agitation in Darjeeling started in 85,
Hmm.
1985, and 1985 is very recent compared to when India got independence, which was 47. Around 40 years later, okay, this problem arose. But that's what people don't understand, that you know it might be after 40 years of independence that Darjeeling wants a separate state, okay? But what they didn't realize is since 1907, okay, when like there was a time in 1907 when the people from Darjeeling, they sent a petition for like they sent in for a Morley-Minto reform. Okay, you know
Uh,
what is a Morley-Minto reform?
no, not well enough.
It was dividing the states and all back in the day. Okay, so
Acha.
there is something called the Morley-Minto reform. We read about it, bro, in history, but it wasn't taught
We did.
very Morley-Minto.
If it was in the history book, I would have at least read it. I mean, I went through the entire history book just because
This
I
was their
could. I
Morley-Minto
didn't care
reforms.
about the
Just
syllabus, but I probably don't remember it. Like my
yeah,
memory
like
is not something I take pride in. So,
this was their Morley-Minto reform was there.
but
So see, reforms in structure in governments in India. That is what they did first. Okay, and Morley-Minto reform happened in 1909. Okay, but Darjeeling had always like Darjeeling already gave a sanction. Like they sent something in Morley-Minto reform where they wrote that they don't want to be a part of Bengal. Okay,
hmm.
but still there is a very deep history, bro. Like if you look at it, no, Darjeeling was never a part of Bengal. Even Kuch Bihar was never a part of Bengal. Like
Ha ha ha.
till
Kuch Bihar, I know. Kuch Bihar was like more of a political and diplomatic agreement. It wasn't annexed or something.
till till Falakata, okay, till Falakata, I'm telling you, Kuch Bihar is to just this. Till Falakata was under Bhutan, Nepal. That was the entire of the district, like the Darjeeling district. It was that big. Like I don't remember when I was doing research. No, I read about all these. Like, so what happened was, I'll tell you another something very interesting. Uh, in 1947, when India gained independence, okay, what happened was the political leaders were so busy picking up the pieces, okay, that they forgot the cake. The cake was Darjeeling. You know what happened with Darjeeling was they fucked it up. Like, Darjeeling didn't know whether it was in India or it was in Pakistan. So
But it's a
by
lot far away from Bangladesh.
yeah, but that time Pakistan was divided like here, upar, niche. No, it was so. See, the story of independence is like this. It was never a straight line.
That it
Okay,
wasn't.
when who was the guy who was called to draw the line? I forgot. There was the guy. I forgot his name. Robert Klein or someone. One guy who was told that you will be drawing the lines throughout India. Okay.
And he was, you said, you mentioned it right. He was called in, like he wasn't here. He didn't even
Yeah.
know exactly what to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
He
So that
himself mentioned in some time later on, or even that time, that like I didn't
when
know, but I had to just do it.
when he was told that you have to divide India, he told something like, um, he told okay. So then, what is this? Mountbatten asked him, okay, have you ever been to India? So he told no. Okay, and then later, before like, actually the whole division of India plan was by Winston Churchill. Okay, like this is what they say. Winston Churchill had already made the plan 1 year before Mountbatten came to India because they know they were gonna lose a lot of money in the war. Okay, and they knew they could not control India. So Winston Churchill left. Mountbatten came. The division is called Mountbatten Plan, but it was never planned by Mountbatten. It was planned by Churchill.
Huh.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
have to
like
look
that.
into it. I never heard of this.
And the guy who divided it also just gave Churchill's plan. That's it. He just gave Churchill's plan because he was told to do so. He was brought in India to do so. Now, what Churchill did was he had already promised Jinnah, Pakistan. Okay, there is a book on Jinnah. Okay, like I forgot the name of the book. Uh, that is also about the lives and times of Jinnah. And like earlier, he was against two nation theory, but then shit happened. They told him that see, Jinnah's two nation theory was there will be two separate states. Okay,
Hmm.
but we live in peace and harmony. And before that, he was against two nation theory. So what has happened is, bro, history has been, how to say it, like it has it has gone through so many iterations now that we don't know what is true, what is false. Okay, in India they will say Jinnah was bad, like he divided India and all that shit. But back in the day the condition was like that, like from divide and rule there had been so much division among the people itself. It's still evident now, bro.
That
Like
is evident.
still evident now. So what Jinnah proposed was giving control of one nation to the Muslims and one nation to the Hindus. And it, like Jinnah just proposed that, okay, Hindu and Muslim, okay. Gandhi told that India will not follow Pakistan and be a completely Hindu dominated country. It will be a, what is the word?
Secular nation.
Secular country, yeah. That is why secular is in the concept. So it will be a secular country. Gandhi told that, okay. No, there was some guy in RSS that time. Not even that time, even RSS wasn't formed. There was one guy, okay, who was against.
See, there are mainly two people in the who contributed the most in the foundation of RSS, like this Hegde guy and the MS Golwalkar.
Yeah, so these two people always said that, India should be a Hindu state because Pakistan is a Muslim state. So, but Gandhi was against it. That is why they went against Congress and formed RSS. Okay, and then the most interesting part is there is another book I have here. I'm not.
But RSS was still formed. It was still formed before independence, like in 1925. Not like they
Hmm.
contributed much, but they did exist before that.
I don't know. They keep changing their name, bro. Like they had a lot of rich man names. Like The Bajrang Dal is also theirs, bro. You know that.
I know, but the Bajrang doll is a much decent thing compared to that.
See, there is this, okay. RSS founder Hegdewar was with Congress and other factions. That's what I'm saying, no, bro. People didn't know this, okay? Like, he was always a part of Congress. He just didn't agree with Gandhi, so he formed RSS. It's like that. I'm getting it. What it's like. Like, it has always been like that in India, okay? But that's the thing which people need to understand, that the history has been skewed so much. When I read about Jinnah, completely different than what he was portrayed. Okay, now there are two sides to every story. I also read that book by Hitler, okay, Main Camps, but it does not justify what Hitler did back in the day.
Of
Killing
course.
millions of Jews doesn't justify writing a book where you tell why you killed the Jews, right?
Huh.
He says something like he always hated the Jews. He was never put into painting school. Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's very emotional. Okay,
I
the
didn't
same
read
way
Main Camp. I do want to read it someday though. Like
I
just to
have it.
understand. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm giving. What
I
is that
have.
guy's? Even Godse has a book. Okay,
Why I
You
killed Gandhi. I have that book. I haven't read it yet.
see, the
I.
name of the book is the explanation, bro. Why I killed Gandhi.
Huh.
Why I
I
killed.
know.
That's the title of the book, bro. He's explaining India why he killed Gandhi. That is like whitewashing. I can say it right there. And again, Gandhi wasn't a very. So the history is very, like, it's very tangled. Okay, and it's a very
Huh.
sensitive issue because people who don't know anything about history will make a big deal out of it more than people who know about it. Okay,
Yeah, that's true. That's so true.
that's what I'm thinking now. But that is what people have to know. So, getting back to Darjeeling like was neglected so heavily that for 5 days they hoisted the Pakistani flag in Darjeeling for 5 days after independence.
Acha.
A Pakistani flag was hoisted in Darjeeling for 5 days when Darjeeling was a part of India and they didn't even know they were a part of India. That's the most weird part about it. No, that you neglect. And another thing about Darjeeling is, like, it was never the land of Nepalis. Okay, it was the land of Lepchas, Bhutia. So, uh, the thing is, when
Who
Darjeeling was,
were Nipchas?
I'm going there. Like,
Okay.
when Darjeeling was a part of India, the whole belt. Okay, like, the northern belt. If you see Sikkim, Nepal, Bhutan,
Hmm.
Nepal, Bhutan, in the middle is Darjeeling. So that entire belt was divided into three. Like, there were three different tribes living there. Okay, it's all in this book, bro. Like, I cannot even explain it because the names are so difficult. Okay, so the Kingdom of Limbus, with its capital at Vijaypur, extended all the way from Trisuli River in the west to the Tista River in the east. So from across the border till here, that was the tribe. Here till here means Tista River is which one? Coronation Bridge. That is
But
Tista.
like I'm not that well versed with the geography. I do know Tista River, of course.
See, the lands of Darjeeling were always in the hands of either Sikkim or Limbuan or Nepal, and for a while the Kalimpong part of it was even under Bhutan. Finally, in 1835, the British took it all. Okay,
Acha.
1835. Yeah.
Got
And also, this people don't know that even after it was a part of the British Empire, okay, like Darjeeling was always a, what is it called? No cross zone or something like that. Okay, like, because see, what happened was, before Britishers came to India, okay, like Darjeeling was always a part of India. Sorry, was never a part of India. Before Britishers came to India, it belonged to Sikkim, Bhutan, and all I told you, okay, and it kept getting tossed around between Sikkim, Bhutan, Nepal, and
huh.
India.
Yeah,
It kept getting.
provincial. That was pretty common back in those days.
The weirdest part is India never even conquered Darjeeling. Okay, like back in the day, they used to conquer places. No, so
Huh?
Sikkim, Nepal, and all, always conquered Darjeeling. Okay, sometimes it was here, there, and Darjeeling. I'm talking about the hills, the
Huh.
entire hills, not just Darjeeling as a place. And so they kept picking here and there and there. Okay, like they kept. Now what happened is India never won and got Darjeeling. Okay, India never had Darjeeling. Back in the day, it wasn't even India, bro. If you know this, like it wasn't India.
That's
India,
what I was just going to ask
yeah, India was
regarding.
just the middle part, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar. Do you
Hmm.
know this? India was just Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar. That's it. Like that.
I know.
In the first Sepoy mutiny, okay, in the first Sepoy war,
Hmm.
the Sepoys who fought were from the central part of India. It wasn't the entire India.
Huh.
That is why we always have had a parity between North, South. That is why, like, that is what I think. Like, that is what I think.
That's
That is why,
one of the reasons. There are many reasons actually.
like that. But whatever, like, what I'm trying to say is, so what kept happening was India never won it, and the Britishers they kind of uh, you know took Darjeeling from Sikkim.
Acha.
They proposed that they wanted. So Britishers were very diplomatic, right?
Huh.
Today they would help one king to take over the other kingdom, then they would help another king to take over the
That
guy they
kingdom.
had.
Huh.
Yeah, so they were very diplomatic. So they took this from Sikkim. Okay, the reason to take it from Sikkim was India's weather was very warm, hot, and Darjeeling was kind of cold. Okay,
Huh.
India was always very warm for them. Calcutta, like, see, every other places they had places to go. Okay, they could go to Shimla, they could go here, there, they could go anywhere. But for Bengal, they did not have a place to go back. Like, uh, they used to rest. Okay, they used to take rest in Shimla. They used to take rest in different places. But for Calcutta, they did not have any place they could go and sit and like just it's called rejuvenation. These places are called uh, oh, see, so it was always called a non-regulated area. Okay, Darjeeling was acquired from Sikkim in 1835. It was kept as a non-regulated area within the Union of India, meaning that the acts of Government of India were not applicable for the region. It's
Okay.
just, yeah. So see, also it's very interesting. Okay, between see, so the geographical picture of Darjeeling district became complex in 65 when Kalimpong and Duars of the Kingdom of Bhutan were annexed by the British. Between 1870 and 74, Darjeeling was placed under the direct charge of the Governor General of India. It was placed under Rajshahi division in present-day Bangladesh in 1875. 1905, Darjeeling was attached to Bhagalpur division of Bihar. Oh, also it was in Bihar for 3 to 4 years. It was a part of Bihar. Like Darjeeling was a part of Bihar, which is weird. However, it was brought back to the Rajshahi division in 1907. So, do you understand why they were confused when they hoisted the flag? Because it was in '07 they told it would be a part of Rajshahi division, which was in Bangladesh. So when India got divided, they didn't know where they were. Were they geographically, border-wise, they were in India, but district-wise, they were in Bangladesh. So Bangladesh means that times Pakistan.
Huh.
Like,
Uh,
yeah, it was like that. So how to explain it? Like, it's such a vast history, no, bro, that it gets confusing for people to keep track also of it. And like I told you, it's just 40 years old. The history starts from 40 years ago. Way back in the day, you have to understand that because it was never a land of the Nepalis. Okay, uh, British like it was a land of Lepchas, Bhutias, and all Muggers. These are the natives. These are the now. Why you don't know about these people is there is something called cultural assimilation. Okay, what happens is, uh, for example, I'm a Bihari, but I have lived in Bengal for so long that I know Bengali better than Bihari. like better than Bhojpuri.
Hmm.
Okay. That is cultural assimilation. Forcefully or unforcefully, I'm adopting my culture so that I can survive. I'm adapting to a different culture so that I can survive. Okay. So what happened was these lepchas and all, they believed in, let's talk about lepchas because they are indigenous of India. Like they were in India since the inception of India. So what happened was lepchas believed in zoom cultivation. You know zoom cultivation, no?
Ha ha ha.
You take a land, you cut the land, you burn the trees, then you cultivate there. Once the
Ha ha.
soil gets, you burn it and you move to next land. Okay.
Ha ha ha.
So this is what kept happening in the hills. Like this is way back, like before India was India and all that. Okay. So what happened was,
It has been pretty popular even recently. I mean, comparatively recently, not like 2020, but in late 90s and all.
zoom cultivation.
Ha ha ha. Not like the time you're talking about is something when it was the primary mode of cultivation. Like
Yeah.
if you did cultivation, that was the way.
It wasn't because civilizations had already come in. Okay, that is what I was going for. Like
It depends on the locations. I mean, not everyone
lepchas.
started the civilization in same rate.
Yeah. So lepchas were doing it in India, okay, and they had been doing it for a very long time. And what happened was they almost went extinct. Okay. So what happened? A Nepali trader. This is a myth. Okay. This is like how one guy he explained it to me. I'll explain it to you exactly. He told a legend. Okay. There is a legend that one Nepali trader. He came from Nepal. He went to the chief of the. Uh, he went to the
Lepchas.
chief of the tribe of lepchas. Yeah. He went to the chief and he told the chief that just I need a small land so that I can start my trade here. Okay. So the guy told okay, and then he shouted. He told, "I'll shout your name from here till the last point you can hear your name. Till there, from here is your land." Okay. So he shouted his name, and the person who was at the extreme end, who heard the name last, from where he shouted till that place became the Nepali guy, like the Nepali traders place. That is how Nepalis came to India. Like that is what they say, but I think it's way more different because a lot of places it is written that uh, they took the place by force or whatever. Also, at some places, what happened was when Britishers wanted to attack Nepal. Okay, like when they wanted Nepal, they attacked Nepal. Nepal has a small place called Gorkha in Nepal. Okay,
Okay.
the place is called Gorkha, not the people.
Acha.
So that place Gorkha, what happens is that place Gorkha. So the word Gorkha, like we are Gorkhas, comes from that place called Gorkha in Nepal.
Acha.
Okay.
Okay.
So that is why it's very confusing for people now also, because the whole linguistic thing comes from a place with which they don't want to be associated. If you tell them you guys are not from India, you guys are from
Acha.
Nepal,
Ha. Got it. Got
they get offended. Okay.
it. Okay. Ha.
But the term Gorkha comes from the fact that Gorkha is a place in Nepal. That is where it comes from. So it is a bit linguistically confusing. Okay.
And you also
But
mentioned some Gorkha warriors as part of the British force and
so
something.
what happened was Britishers they fought. Okay, like they fought the king of Nepal, and Britishers had guns and all back in the day.
Huh.
And this Asian belt, like this India and all, we were very underdeveloped even for that time. So we had these people had kukris. Okay, Nepalis had kukris. We had swords. So when they fought Nepal, what happened was like the war lasted for a long time. Okay, and these people were so shocked that they have guns and cannons, and these people are defeating them with guerrilla warfare just by using kukris.
Hmm.
Okay. So what Britishers did was they signed a treaty with the king of Nepal, and in that treaty, like the king of Nepal, they gave the Britishers warriors. Okay, they gave the Britishers Gorkhas, like people from Nepal. That is how the Gorkha regiment was formed in India and for the Queen. Because why? Gorkha is supposed to be the most loyal tribe.
Hmm.
That is the whole thing called Gorkha regiment also comes from there. Gorkha regiment, the military regiment called Gorkha regiment. So Gorkhas have been a very integral part of it. Like that is why people don't understand. Okay, they never came. They were never a part. They were never indigenous of this place. Okay,
Huh.
but what they did was, the thing is, even now if you go, okay, you'll find a lot of Lepchas there, a lot of Lepcha women, a lot of Lepcha guys, okay, but they all speak in Nepali. They don't speak in their own language. Some may speak in their own language, but a lot of them don't, because in order to survive, Nepalis were doing trade. These people were doing food cultivation. So in order to survive, they had to learn the language. They had to speak to the people. Okay, that is how cultural assimilation happens, and that is how these people became the natives of the place. Now what happened is, they all were living together. Okay, um, different tribes were living together. Nepalis were also living with that. Now what happened, everyone learned Nepali, everyone knew the language. So people started associating them. This is what they don't know, no? That Lepcha, again, Nepali also has two kind of faces, if you see. Okay, like one you
Might
will
be. I didn't notice that much. I mean, I haven't
one,
been
I,
around them
one,
with
you
that
will
long.
be, one you will be able to identify he's a Nepali. Okay,
Okay.
the other will look like a normal Indian,
Okay.
typical Indian, like
Maybe, like as I said, I'm not that experienced with them, so
you
I
know
might
why?
not know.
Why is it like that? Because there are two descendants.
Ha ha. It makes
The
sense.
one,
Just I
yeah,
might not notice it.
the one who come from Indo-Mongolian descent, Indian and Mongolia ka descent, like
Hmm.
Lepchas, Bhutyas, they all look like the typical Mongolian features
Hmm,
with
hmm.
the yellow skin characteristics. But now, uh, there are also another like descendants who come from the Indo-Aryan descendant. Okay, pure bloods. That is why they don't look like typical Nepalis.
Huh.
But they are Nepalis. So the whole point is, you are discriminating against people, okay, based on how they look, and you don't even know whether he's a Nepali or actually a Chinese or a Japanese or Rajbangshi. Even Rajbangshis, some Rajbangshis look a lot like, they have the yellow features. Like if you see Rajbangshis, their eyes are also small, their skin is also yellow. Okay,
It,
like
it's not a surprise. I mean, like I didn't notice them that well. I mean, I didn't know them that well and stuff, but it makes sense. Like I
no,
wouldn't
like
be surprised. That's what I meant to say.
for example, if like I'm giving you an example. Okay, he's a Rajbangshi. Okay, he even looks a
Wait,
little
he's a
like,
Rajbangshi?
yeah.
Ah, I didn't know that.
You know this girl called. If you see any Bengali guy, okay, if you see anyone whose name, who looks like a Bengali, who says he's a Bengali but looks a little like Nepali, or that, he's Rajbangshi.
But you mean a little like of Ford descendant kind of thing, like not directly related, I guess, because
Indo-Mongolian,
I never heard of it.
Indo-Mongolian, Indian and Mongolian
Ah,
descent.
no, no, no. I'm not talking about the descent, like not the racial descent. I'm talking about the Rajbangshi. Achha,
The face.
by Rajbangshi, as going with the term, it means that coming from the family of the kings and stuff. Or are you saying it as a
Rajbangshi is a tribe, bro, in Bengal.
Achha, oh, that's why I was confused. Okay.
Yeah.
I was going by the literal meaning of the term, so that's why I was so shocked. Okay, no, no,
No,
no,
so
ha ha ha.
this,
Now I know. Now I completely understand what you're talking about.
yeah,
Ha, ha.
Rajbangshis, yeah, are a tribe. They
Ah,
are Rajbangshis are the tribe that dominate this area, bro. Like they always dominated the Bengal and Bangladesh border. Okay, they were always in between Bengal, Bangladesh. So they are indigenous of Bengals.
acha.
Like Ghoti and Bangals and all are there. No,
Ha ha ha.
Ghoti is also come from Bangladesh, and Bangladesh
And I'm a Bhati, which is I really like the name Bhati. It sounds so
which
much fun.
so that is completely different than this, right? Because Rajbanshis are natives, bro. Okay, they are indigenous people of Bengal.
Okay, okay, okay.
South Bengalis are different. Rajbanshis are different. Their cultures are different. Their customs are different. Everything is different. Okay, but they are Bengalis. They speak the same language, but they also look like Nepalis. Okay, so you can get confused. It's not an issue, but
Uh-huh.
that's the thing. Why is there even a barrier where you are telling that this is a Rajbanshi, this is a Hindu, this is a Muslim, like that? Okay,
Huh.
like why is there even a barrier like that? That's what I'm trying to say.
Hmm. And the
So
thing is about these racial things are there. We are different. Like there are two sides of the spectrum. At one
yeah,
point, it's like we are the same. No, everyone's the same, and that what should I say? It's more like a fantastical concept, and the other side is everyone's different. We should not be together, and it's
no,
both
no,
is
but
bullshit. Like we are different.
we
We
are
are
different.
different. We
You
can see
cannot
that we are different, but we
you cannot discriminate.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
exactly. Like we
not
can,
discriminate just because someone is different. That's what.
yeah, exactly. And denying that we are actually different is stupid, and
Yeah,
holding on to the fact that we are different and dividing based on that is also stupid. Like we
so
are
yeah.
different, but we can be together. We don't have to fight with, on
That
the
is why
fact that
we
we are
always
different.
told unity in diversity, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we
yeah,
are
yeah, yeah.
despite being diverse. But what I'm trying to say is what happens with this whole place called Darjeeling becomes a very good example of identity issues. Okay, because people think that it doesn't matter, right? But today, like I showed you Rajbangshi, if I go and mistake a Rajbangshi for someone who uh, does not belong from India, okay, that person will, because I remember this, okay, this happened. So I know I can speak a little Nepali, I can get by, okay. So I told there was this one guy, he was making rolls and he looked like a Nepali guy. So I spoke to him in Nepali, okay, and he did not understand.
Okay.
So 2 3 days later, someone told me he's Rajbangshi.
Acha.
So it happens. It happens. Like I cannot say that, but that's the thing. Like I just went with my instinct and I started speaking to him in the language which I knew. But and the weirdest part is he didn't even get offended. No, if he wanted, he could have made a whole big deal out of it.
Ha
Like
ha 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 ha.
yeah,
People make mistakes as long as it's not a mistake that intentionally done to hurt you. It's not point of getting offended. That's just dumb.
so now think of it in this way. Okay, me speaking to him in Nepali kind of questions his identity as a Rajbanshi.
Ha. But you
I get
didn't
it.
intend to do that. So
Intend to. I'm just giving an example, like
no.
how
I
it
know,
goes.
I know. I know that. I get it.
So if tomorrow someone comes and tells you,
It actually happens with me a little in the
yeah, are you from Bangladesh or something? Okay, if someone comes and tells you,
ha ha
will you feel bad? Because see, my accent, if I start, the thing is, Biharis are heavily discriminated throughout India. Okay, if
ha.
you
In fact, in
in,
Bengal as well.
everywhere, Biharis are heavily discriminated, except in even in Bihar, I think by their own tribe. Okay, so the thing is, if Biharis are heavily discriminated, in the same way, you are discriminating a Nepali, you are discriminating South. Who is an Indian, bro? You tell me that. Who is the Indian? Southern people become Madrasis. North Indian becomes Punjabis, okay. Bengalis become Bengalis. Biharis become Biharis. UP wala don't know whether they are Biharis or from UP, like, or I don't know, Lucknow. Bombay people become, like, Bombay is completely different. It's like a whole different world on its own. South, God doesn't even know what's going on in South. Where is India, bro? Like, what is India? Who is an Indian then? If you're dividing everyone like that, like anyone says any, right now the only perfect example of a perfect Indian in today's times is a person who does not question the government, who consumes all the bullshit on the news. I don't know like what is even happening right now. Okay, so uh, that is what it is. Like the identity issue comes from there itself. I when I introduce, when someone says where are you from, I say I'm from Bengal, right? Because India is so diverse, I'll say I'm from Bengal. Are you a Bengali is the next question. Why should that even be a question?
Yeah, actually, that I can understand why that comes from, because Bengal, by Bengal, or people outside of Bengal, by Bengal, by default thinks of Kolkata.
Yeah,
When someone who's not from Bengal hears someone is from Bengal, they by default thinks he is from Kolkata, and Kolkata now at least is a pretty cosmopolitan culture. People go there for jobs. Like there's a lot of people come from outside of not just Kolkata but outside of Bengal to be in Kolkata. Like Kolkata is full of people outside, full of non-Bengalis. So by that sense, the question makes sense. Like I have family members in Kolkata and I see a lot of non-Bengalis there. So
I
it
don't think it still makes sense. I don't go around asking people in Maharashtra, are you Marathi? Are you Marathi? Are you Marathi? I know
no,
there
I
are
mean
Marathis. I know, like even if he's not
no.
Marathi, even
It
if
in your case it in your case it is a bit different, because as you said, like it happens to me a little, as I was saying, because I don't look like a typical Bengali even in college.
no,
So
I don't look like a typical Bihari bro. I'm mistaken for Marwari. I'm mistaken for Bengali. Now I'm mistaken for Bengali because I gained weight. When I was thin, when I had beard, I was mistaken for a Muslim once. Like,
I have been mistaken for a Muslim in my like in the funniest thing is in college, like I have quite a few Muslim friends. So one of them had her family come for a visit, and though it was the first year and I was just helping them out because we didn't knew much people there. It was just starting, not much, like it was first semester, I think first or 12th time. So we didn't know much people, and I was the one of the people she knew. So I held them out and she later told me that her parents were thought that I'm a Muslim guy. That was funny
no, that
because parents don't make this kind of mistake easily.
no, you. I am fine with people making
No,
mistakes. Okay,
I'm completely
just
fine as well. They didn't.
don't be
I just found it
condescending.
a bit funny.
Yeah, it is funny, bro. Like when I'm mistaken for Bengali, you know what happens when people say, "Are you Bengali?" I say, "Guess." I've made a game out of it. I say, "Guess." Like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you can be anything about it. Just don't be condescending because a person's identity matters a lot to them. I can say it because every person has a phase in his life where they think they don't belong. Okay,
Huh, huh.
and what happens is when you feel you don't belong, the nearest thing you look for is community,
Huh.
friends,
Yes.
community, people you can relate to, people who have the same custom, same culture. Okay, people you understand. But if everyone you understand is going through the same problem of identity crisis, okay, like think I don't know where I am from after I moved to Bengal. Okay, I don't know. Like I'm born in Bengal, and I see like think of me as a kid. Okay, I'm born in Bengal, and I'm a very curious kid. I'm questioning everything. So my first question becomes like, why are my traditions different from their traditions? Okay. The second point that comes to my mind is that means we are not same. Okay. So where do I
So, Holmes, thank you so much for listening to the first episode of my podcast. This is part one of a two-part series of my conversation with my friend Aditya Mohan. In the second part, we will dive further into his personal experience as a non-Bengali in Bengal, his experience with differences in the culture, and we will further discuss the situation in the hills and how they feel like an outsider, and how North Bengal feels different from South Bengal, and the cultural assimilation there. We'll further discuss the context of identity, nostalgia, and the toxic forms, mainly in Bengal, and how is it relevant to all of us. So stay tuned for the second part of this series, and please subscribe to the podcast wherever listening to this, and share it with your friends. That will motivate me to make more of this. There will be more guests coming, more discussions that I hope you like. You can also find me on other social media platforms. You can find Aditya Mohan mainly in Instagram. That's where he's most active. I'm there as well under the same username, and you can find him under the username Mohanwa. That is AMOHANWA Mohanwa. And you can find me as Zandy Alexis in other social media platforms as well. Hope I'll see you there as well. Once again, just a gentle reminder to subscribe to the podcast, and see you again in the next episode. Till then, matane.